So while thinking about all of this, I got curious, man. I was like, I know that whenever the Camaro was reintroduced in 2008 or 2009, it was massively popular, right? And obviously, up until that point, the Mustang was pretty much the only muscle car that you can get. And I looked up the amount of Camaros that were sold in the year of 2010, like the first full year that it was released. And the number was freaking insane, man. Like, so let me go through some of these numbers with you guys. Because when I read this stuff, I really, honest to God, I could not believe it. But in 2010, following the reintroduction of the Camaro, that year, Chevrolet sold 81,299 units. That's freaking insane. Considering the fact that the Camaro is now discontinued less than a decade later, I can't believe that at one point in time they sold over 81,000 of those things. So again, like I mentioned, up until that point, you could only purchase a Mustang, and then that year prior, you could then purchase the new Challenger. So then I looked up the amount of Mustangs that were sold that same year in 2010, and in that same year, Ford sold less Mustangs than the Camaro at 73,716. So then I started digging even deeper, and I was like, I wonder if that's the reason why Ford reintroduced the Coyote motor that everyone knew and loved from the past, because they were getting trumped by the Camaro in its sales. So if I was one of the suits during that time, I believe that would have been the best move, reintroducing the 5.0 that everyone has known and loved. And you'd think that once the Coyote was reintroduced, that year and the years following, that Ford would still be able to sell a little more. So now at this point, we know that the Coyote has been reintroduced. It is 2011/2012. What are the sales figures looking like now? Surely Ford has been able to come back and regain that first place that they were in selling their Mustangs. So let's go over this chart that I had made. So in 2010, Ford sold 73,716 Mustangs. Chevrolet sold 81,299 Camaros. In 2011, Ford's Mustang sales declined, even though they reintroduced the Coyote motor, to only 70,438 units, compared to Chevrolet's increase by 7,000, seeing 88,249 units. And hopefully you guys are as shocked as I was seeing this. Okay, so Chevrolet had a strong 5 to 6 years in sales for the Camaro. And at this point, I'm pretty sure Ford was willing to pull anything out of the books to try and regain first place. So I'll put up another chart right here. And as you can see, in 2015, that's whenever Ford finally regained first place. And I kind of suspected why this happened. But I did some more research anyways. And the reason why this happened, as I expected, was because...
Ladies and gentlemen, the all-new 2015 Mustang.
In 2015, Ford completely redesigned the Ford Mustang body style and the chassis. So it went from the S197 that had been on sale for 9 years at that point, so between 2005 and 2014, to the S550, which we pretty much all know and love to this day. So following the Mustang, Ford saw a huge surge in sales that year, and in fact, what actually went to be their best year in sales pretty much ever. This is crazy. So in 2015, Ford sold 122,349 Mustangs. Surely at this point in 2015, there had been, I think, 4 or 5 Transformers movies out. The whole Bumblebee name was kind of played out at this point, and Chevrolet really didn't have any other huge marketing ploys that really helped boost the sales of the Camaro. So in 2015, Camaro actually only sold 77,000 Camaros. That's insane. The fact that this one marketing move helped Chevrolet sell well over 500,000 Camaros in 5 or 6 years is crazy to me. And all Ford really pretty much had to do was redesign the chassis and come back out with a completely new model of the Mustang, which it helped. And that model to this day is still somewhat in play, even though we're now driving S650s. That really is just an evolution of the S550. So hats off to Ford for developing such a nice chassis, something that people clearly love and enjoy. All right, we had to get out of that cold. I don't know if you saw, but there's snow behind me on the ground. It's like 20 degrees outside, so I don't know why I thought this was a good idea to film outside. But let's carry on. So I don't want to make it seem like the only reason why the Camaro was so successful is because of the Transformers movie, even though that did play a huge part. Like I mentioned earlier, part of the reason why the Camaro was so successful is because the aftermarket was just so accessible for that car, and you could pretty much do just as much, if not more, to that car for less than you could with the Mustang. I mean, everyone knows that nowadays the Mustang is probably the most modifiable car ever made. I mean, you have tens of thousands, if not close to 100,000 plus parts that you can throw onto the Mustang, and that essentially is what it was like for the Camaro during this time period. Outside of Hollywood, the Camaro was pretty successful in other industries like racing, for instance. The Camaro has been in NASCAR for a while now, and for the past 4 years, between 2021 and 2024, the Camaro pretty much contributed to championships from different manufacturers that have been competing. So, I mean, that's another thing that Chevrolet has to be proud of with the Camaro, and even other racing leagues like the NHRA. Just as recently as last year, the Camaro won the Funny Car Championship. So, I mean, there's been plenty of different milestones that have been achieved, using the Camaro. And it's not just, the movie industry. There's a ton of stuff. Okay, so with nearly 5 to 6 years of back-to-back success and back-to-back #1 sales for the Camaro, I mean, aside from the Mustang being revolutionized in 2015, there are some other contributing factors that pretty much led the Camaro to where it's at today, which is discontinued.
Sometimes you need to build a car that just defines itself. The 2015 Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat.
One of those factors was the fact that Dodge released the Hellcat. The Hellcat, as I'm sure you probably already know, had so much success between 2015 and 2022 or 2023, whenever it was ultimately discontinued. The marketing behind that car and just the package as a whole had a market that was untapped at that time, and that was people who were looking for high horsepower, rear-wheel drive, straight line, badass car. Now, that's not to say that Ford's 2014 GT500 wasn't that, but in 2015, Ford introduced the Shelby. The Shelby was completely different than the Hellcat. The Shelby was focused on turns, circuits, lap times. The Hellcat wasn't focused on any of that stuff. So the Shelby had its market over here, and the Hellcat had its market over here. So where did that leave Camaro? And that pretty much was somewhere over here in the realm of lap times and circuits and things like that, because Chevrolet introduced the ZL1 and the ZL1 1LE. So the ZL1, you may be able to say, was the equivalent of the GT350, and the ZL1 1LE, you could say, was the equivalent of the GT350R. So both of those cars were track oriented. Both of those cars were meant to take turns, and they did that pretty well. I mean, albeit they were very heavy in the front just because of that supercharger, but regardless, I mean, it was still a very nice, well-rounded, packaged car. And at this time, Dodge even had the Dodge Viper for sale as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of competition. By this point, 2016 or 2017, like I mentioned, the Transformers movies had died down in popularity. And there really were no other big marketing moves that Chevrolet took So all of these factors combined is sort of what led to the decline in popularity for the Camaro. Now, don't get me wrong, this is probably going to be controversial. I think that the SS is far more enjoyable than the Mustang GT.
What?
And I'm not just saying that because we have an SS. I'm saying that because I owned a Mustang GT in 2016 for about 3 years. And then prior to that, I owned a 2007 Mustang GT for about 2 years. And both of those cars were extremely fun, but we've had this SS now for about 4 or 5 years. And it is just as quick as my Shelby, which is insane. It has 10 gears, nice paddle shifters. It sounds amazing because this shares the motor that comes in the Corvette Stingray. The interior is super nice because this one behind me is a 2SS, so we have all the bells and whistles, heated and cooled seats, heated steering wheels, larger screen, Apple CarPlay, a sunroof. We have LED light strips on the inside. I mean, we have everything. So for what this car is, I mean, it's a very nice package. And in most cases, the features that came in this car, if you were to purchase an identical car in the Mustang, as far as the features and things like that, the Camaro at the end of the day would most of the time be cheaper. So it was a really good package. They sounded good. The engines were durable. You could build on them. You could really do anything with this car. I just think that with all of those factors combined, plus the fact that the Mustang has pretty much always had a stronger lineage and a stronger heritage than the Camaro, I just don't think that there was much Chevrolet could have done with this car. I mean, it's pretty obvious that Chevrolet has sort of shifted all of its focus towards their last coupe that's currently in production, and that's the Corvette, which is understandable. I mean, the Corvette, in my opinion, and I did mention this in the podcast, is the sole reason why people still go to Chevrolet dealerships.
But dude, could you imagine Chevrolet without the Corvette? I don't even think Chevrolet would be like relevant at this point, because let's say right now, let's just say we snap our fingers and the Corvette just doesn't exist anymore.
As a car enthusiast, you're only going to a Chevrolet dealership for one reason, and that's to purchase a Camaro. But let's say you're not a car enthusiast. Let's say you're a truck enthusiast. There's nothing for you to buy at a Chevrolet dealership. You have a Colorado ZR2, and then you have their lineup of Silverados, which the Silverados are nothing to compare against the Raptors and the Ram TRXs, and the Colorados are nothing to compare against the Rangers that Ford has. So right there, Chevrolet has already lost two markets. Their market of car enthusiast and then their market of truck enthusiast. So let's just say you wanted a daily. Your options are pretty much a Blazer, which is now an EV. I believe they still sell the Sparks or the Bolts, don't get me wrong. And then outside of that, you really don't have anything else. I mean, without the Corvette, I don't think that Chevrolet would exist at this point. And that sucks to say, because between 2010 and 2015, Camaros were dominating the streets. They were dominating sales. I mean, it was the most popular car that you can get at the time. I really want to know what you guys think about this whole situation. I mean, am I the only one that's kind of shocked at the fact that the Camaro was in a position where it once was, and now they're pretty much discontinued? I mean, this car is so much fun. We've modified it a little bit, so we added on a ZL1 front bumper. We have a tow hook on there. We have some vinyl wrap. We added some more black accents around the car to kind of make the yellow stand out a bit more. But with all those mods that we've done so far, this car, for me, hasn't been modified to its peak. I mean, if I had this thing in my hands 24/7, I would wrap this thing black. I would throw on some welds. I would lower it, and then probably add some red accents around the car. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because I've ran into a few Camaros on the street. And if you've ever heard a Camaro with full exhaust, headers and everything, then you'll know where I'm coming from. But I think that a Camaro SS with full exhaust, full bolt-ons, compared to a Mustang with the same mods, sounds infinitely better. I mean, I've been around cars so much for so long now that it's kind of hard to impress me. But the few times that I get passed up by these highly modified Camaros with this nice sounding exhaust, I actually freak out, which is saying a lot because regular Mustangs just don't really do it for me anymore. Whereas Camaros, which is the least popular car, makes me giddy. But enough yapping, guys. I really want to know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you miss that time where the Camaros were, leading in sales and the Camaro was the car to have? Or are you enjoying the period that we're in now where the only muscle car that you can purchase is a Mustang? I mean, right now in 2025, we are back at that period of time from 2007 and before, where the only thing that you could purchase if you wanted a muscle car was a Mustang. But let me know in the comments, guys. I'm definitely interested in hearing what you guys have to say. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I will definitely see you guys in the next one.